And hello, one and all, to the Devil's Advocate podcast. I'm your host, Darragh Cashman, and I'm joined today by Peter Fitzpatrick and a new man to the channel, a close friend of mine, Jack McDonough. Lads, how are you getting on tonight?
All good, man.
That's the stuff, man. Look, we'll just kick straight into it. We kind of have a deck for the fact you're not exactly familiar with everything here. We kind of run off a small list, and it's kind of similar to what we would have been used to before. So we'll kick off and start with the Dallo resurgence, really. And I've always been a big fan of Diogo Dallo. Anyone who knows me knows that I've really been an advocate to really play him where you can, whether it be left back or right back, because I remember the time that Jose brought him in, and I just saw what could potentially be. Now, he's had his fair share of bumps along the road with Ollie choosing Aaron Wan-Bissaka over him, favoured or not. It's up for debate, really. So I suppose I'll start with yourself, Dick, really. I suppose the best question to start, really, given the game this weekend, where do you play him this week? Do you play him at left back or do you play him at right back?
Personally, I'll be playing him at left back. I think he can play either side. I think he's a great season. His defending, his attacking runs have improved immensely. He's definitely one of the more important players we have at the moment because he brings a lot to our game. His crossing, which was up to debate for a long time, has improved immensely. I think he's one of the best players in our squad at the moment and one that we need on our team sheet all the time. He's that important to us now, 100%.
I suppose I would have looked at the aspect of, given our injury situation, you probably sue him at left back and then try and throw someone in at right back. Peter, I'll come to you on that. Do you agree? Would you play him left back or would you play him right back?
Sorry, this regarding Dallo, is it?
Dallo, sorry, yes.
Yeah, sorry, my internet broke off there.
No, you're okay.
It's a tough one because I normally say you keep your best players in their best positions and try and avoid as much change as possible. But at the same time, the idea of Amrabat playing left back in City is just a massive concern. So the only thing, if you play Dallo left back,
we'll give him. I don't know what happened there, but no, I'll kind of continue on there from the Amrabat at left back scenario. He didn't do the worst job at. Sorry, Peter. I was going to take your point.
Sorry, I'm back on now.
No, you're great. I was going to make the point about Amrabat at left back. He didn't do okay. Fair enough. The first half of the Forest game wasn't the greatest. It wasn't the prettiest, but he kind of came into his own in the second half. In fairness to him, so it wouldn't be one to go against.
Yeah, it's just a completely different game. Obviously, at Forest, he's popping into midfield a lot. He's proper inverted left back. And at points, he was it was actually mad seeing him. You're like, Jesus, at the left back, he's popping up centre mid and so on. But and I did think he played well in the second half. His passing was quite good. But yeah, it's a tough one. Because if you go Dallo left back, you're probably putting. You could go Lindelof at right back and put Evans in, or put Camboala at right back. I think tomorrow's story is we're fairly screwed either way. I think at the back.
The only thing there is you're putting up who would be playing left wing now for City? Foden. You're putting a young Camboala against him there. So that's the problem you're facing there.
If you're good enough, you're old enough.
Yeah.
No, that's true. Yeah, but I suppose then kind of bring it back to Dallo. Would you say he's the man to lead United into the future at right back, or do you feel there's someone else to bring in there? And I'll leave that to either of you to start there.
I think at the moment there's not many out there better than him. The performances this season have been consistent, and that's what we've wanted all along: consistency. If you can make your position your own, go with it and keep going. There's places there to be nailed down in the United team. And if you can make a mark for yourself, then 100% go for it.
and there's also the talk then of, sorry, I didn't actually hear anything on the press conference side of things, but was it be Wan-Bissaka is close to returning, or is he still another couple of weeks away?
I think he's a couple of weeks away, all right, Jeff.
Like both flanks are kind of screwed. Like, no, in fairness, that was freaking injury, thank God. But at the same time, you kind of have to think one injury and this whole thing just discombobulates really. So,
well, look, at the moment, our defense is kind of being held together by sellotape and plasters, and that happens to teams, every team through the season, you know. So I mean, there will come a time when we've all the boys back. We've Martinez back. We've Maguire back. I never thought I'd say that, but I every time he's played well for us. And it's consistency and getting our first 11 out there full time that we need to push on. Until then, it's going to be hell for leather and hoping for the best. And I see Sunday as no different.
Yeah. What do you think, Pete? Do you think he's the man for the future right back, or have you anyone else in mind?
I think I'd agree with what Zach said there. Like, in recent months, especially since the turn of the year, he's been actually very good. I was very much.
Oh, this man loses his interest just as quick, man. But I'll actually make oh, he's back again.
Sorry.
No, you're all good, man. You're all good.
I'm blaming the storm or whatever's going on at the moment. I was saying, sorry. I think if you put, like I always said, if you put Wan-Bissaka and Darragh together, you have a brilliant right back. So
guaranteed.
100%. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Darragh, that's like we have too much to do this summer. That it would be handy if we could, like, you know, we'll keep Darragh, leave him there, and then there's other areas that are more pressing concerns I think at the moment. So I think he's doing well because I think they're all in audition kind of at the moment for their spots, and he's impressed and Radcliffe has officially taken over. So I think at his age profile, he's only 24, 25, and he doesn't get injured, as we said, which is a huge thing because everyone gets injured in our squad. Like, so I think at the moment he has another season at least, I think, at the club.
Like, I suppose, like, I heard there was talk of potentially just revamping the whole defense, and you want now, for as much as I love certain players in that team, like Dallo being one, Lisandro Martinez being another, I wouldn't be exactly against the idea of just revamping that whole defense and maybe just keeping literally someone like Dallo and Lisandro Martinez. So I don't know what you think. If you're talking, I hear a whole clear out of the squad and then just revamp the defense and maybe get a CDM. Then maybe we can work on that. Actually, just sorry to point out there, Pete. The lads are making the point there that they can't hear you properly, so I'm actually sure it's just your connection or not.
Yeah. Sorry, I think we're blaming the snow and the storm and whatever. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, no, that's a lot better now. But
all right, perfect.
Like, just continue on my point there. I was kind of thinking, like, if you just revamp the whole defense and if you go ahead and you even just get a Casemiro replacement, then I think from the rest of the squad, then you have enough there that you could get away with just doing that much in one transfer window. I don't know, what do you think?
I definitely think we need to get a load of players out. You know the number one on my hit list anyway, so
he's already on the way out. We've already mentioned him.
I'm happy to see that he's going into summer. But I mean, we need a bit of surgery in the team. Look, Johnny Evans, great servant to United. Whenever he's come on, he's been great. But like, I mean, Johnny can't do it next season.
No.
For us, if we want to push on and be seen as a team that want to go forward, we need to get in a few more players. You know, we have the recruitment process in place now, I think, where we can actually go after players. I don't know, will a lot of it come down to Champions League qualification? Might have a lot, but I mean, at the end of the day, the biggest draw in the world is Manchester United. So I mean, if you have hungry players wanting to better themselves and come to what I see as an exciting prospect, then it's going to be Manchester United.
Especially the way that Ineos have the vision for them now, so it'll hopefully turn tenfold for United in the long run.
Yeah, exactly.
I suppose the next place you have to start really is the whole Marcus Rashford situation, especially after that statement yesterday. I'm not too sure. Did any of you get, like, personally? No, I didn't get a full-on listen to the interview, or I only read snippets of the statement. Did either of you manage to pick it up?
Yeah, I actually read. I read the full thing. I actually thought it was he got a lot of stick for it, but that's kind of par for the course. And he's not been in great form, and obviously the incident in Belfast. But I actually thought it was refreshing because you never really hear from Rashford. Like he's not.
No, yeah.
He's not. In social media, it's all very. We keep going and like an emoji. Like there's never. You don't know much behind what you see, and that's why everyone talks about the body language and that kind of thing. And every football fan is a body language expert at this point, but it's hard to. It was actually good for him to kind of not bite back, but kind of give his point of view and where he's coming from. And I preferred it. I was like, yeah, like you're still it was more of a human being than a player.
I was going to make that point.
Which I was like, yeah, and I thought it was more. He wasn't talking particularly about my form has been bad. It was more the media talking a lot of crap about me, the right wing media. And it's all like two main reasons. One, because he's a young, successful black athlete. And number two is because he took on the Tories and the established order in COVID. They are the two reasons. And he's kind of replaced Raheem Sterling as like their kind of go-to of any time he does anything good, it's always like with an angle of like, look how much money he spent on his car. While Jack Grealish is... I
did find that interesting point. Sorry, you just mentioned his name there. It's actually a very good comparison then, because I think I picked up the snippet that he mentioned about it can't just be about him being a 26-year-old lad going out on a night out in Belfast. It's about how much he's earning, or the time he got a parking ticket, what car he's driving, how much he's earning, the level of status he is. But yet, people applauded Jack Grealish for the bender he went on after the treble. Now, fair enough. You hear the stories of the 99 team and the drinking sessions that they went on, especially, I won't mention his name now, but there's been many a story about one particular United striker after the Champions League win in Barcelona. But like the problem is the media will laud Jack Grealish for being a lad's lad going on the bender, but yes, he can't get away with himself then. So it is frustrating as a United fan to see the double standards. But again, myself and Deck have made this point before. It's because it's Manchester United. Man United are the talking point of every side of media. And then again, it just to kind of bring it on to the point I was about to make with the whole Rashford scenario, it's down to fan cam media. And there's one particular outlet that is run by a Nottingham Forest fan that quite ironically basically said, oh, well, we're not, in essence, they basically came out saying after the Rashford statement, well, we're not to blame. We defended him. And I was kind of there like, Marcus Rashford intentionally tweeted back at you after saying you basically made a clickbait article about him, and you basically said, stop spreading malicious rumors about me. So what does that say, really?
See, I'm more of a fan of, I don't care whether Marcus went to Belfast or not. Doesn't impress me. He's a young lad. He should be able to do what he wants. But what he needs to do is he needs to prove it on the pitch more. This season has been brutal for him. And while it could be for a myriad of reasons, he needs to show the supporters more on the pitch than he has been. I mean, great, he came out with a statement. And I liked it to a certain extent. But I want to see him trying more on the pitch. To play for Manchester United is something that we can only dream of. He's getting paid a ton of money to do something that we do for free, you know, and that's why we hate as supporters seeing him jogging around the pitch and players running around him. He can have an off season. That's grand. He had a great season last year, but all we want as supporters is to see effort on the pitch. And it's when we don't see effort, that's when we become frustrated, you know. Do I think he can turn it around? Yeah, of course. He's a very skillful young lad. He's a great player. Just needs to knuckle down and concentrate more on the playing side than the social media side, in my opinion.
And like it's an interesting point to make because I suppose you go back to the times of Brian Robson and the infamous captains parties as they were known as back in the day. The boys would be on the lash literally 2 nights before a game. No one would peep an eyelid, but in the eyes of social media, everyone has the phone, everyone has the camera. Everyone's going to spot, oh, look, that's Marcus Rashford over there. He's on the piss. Should he not be in training tomorrow, kind of thing?
Yeah, I think society has changed, and that's the problem. We're governed more by the internet and by social media than anything. I mean, thank God George Best wasn't caught on mobile phones back in his day, because, I mean, he'd never have got on the team. But, I mean, I think where Rashford made the mistake was, went out in the beer, yeah, but don't go sick after it. I mean...
Yeah, like, I suppose, like, even people, like, even I was the one who made the point as well that, well, Rashford had a full week off, but he went to Belfast only a few days before the game against Newport County. Like, fair enough. I don't care if it's against Newport County, it's still a big game regardless of the circumstances. So, like, it was more a case of you had a full week to go to Belfast to meet Rashawn Williams. And yes, you still go 2 days before you're meant to be training and you turn up sick then. Fair enough if you just went out the Wednesday night, but there's talk of the Thursday night as well. It just doesn't cut it really in that aspect. And like I will cut him some slack because like you had the dreaded season of Ole and Ragnick. That was just a write-off for everyone involved. Like people say purple patch about Rashford last year, and to an extent, I agree because we just had a good run of games, and Rashford had the consistency. But like, I'll tell you the truth: since he's come back from the bollocking by Ten Hag after Belfast, he has improved a lot. Like he's like fair enough. Whatever about that video of him after the Luton game, during the Luton game in the last few minutes, he's been, from what I've seen, he's been putting in a decent shift. So to say that he's not trying would be a bit too critical of him because, in fairness, he's putting himself forward. He's actually trying to make a statement of it. Like so, and I think going forward, this might actually send a sentiment to the rest of, let's say, the fan cams and everything. And even on that, kind of, I think we kind of touched on it there. But do you feel fan cams have a say or a pull in social media itself as a result of? Because let's say, no, we can't exactly name them, but we know who they are. The certain fan cam channels that will pinpoint this is what's wrong with Man United, but when in fact they're the ones writing the clickbait thumbnails and doing all that themselves, really. So I'll let either of you want to take that.
Yeah, I think it's massive. Yeah, I think it's a big issue. Like I think the most obvious example and parallel is with Arsenal in a large way. Like for a long time when we were rivaling those banter clubs, like that was what the rivalry fall into. But like it was just such toxic negativity all the time around the club. And again, it was kind of in line with it was around the end of Wenger, but also when Stan Kroenke kind of, before he handed over the running of the club to his son.
Yeah.
So there are the parallel there of like the Glazers handing it over to someone who actually wants the club to do well and will employ the right people and so on. That I hope that, like with Radcliffe coming in and their best in class mindset and getting things in order at long last, that one, there won't be as much negativity to feed off in general, and two, that the club might be like, we're going to clamp down on these kind of crowds. Like, why was Rasmus Højlund doing an interview with them? Why was Anthony? It just very strange that was even allowed to happen. And again, that would fall into United's privacy and their like media control, like what's going on there. Like if you want your players to go and talk to the media, they should be with one a crowd that doesn't batter them the other side, and actually one that will put out like the truth. So I do think that they'll fall away, those kind of crowds, as the club improves as a whole. And I think the fan base has been very divided for the last 15-20 years, ever since the Glazers came in. I think majority of United fans will all row behind the new structure, and there might be there won't be as much of a voice for those dissenting fans.
But I suppose you make the point there. I suppose you make the point there though, and when you think about it, okay, I want the Arsenal have been successful, but they've been on the rise. But with their with the sense that they're on the rise, and I'm not trying to compare us to Arsenal in any shape or form, but when you talk fan cam channels, their channel hasn't been seen as prominently. As when I say that, I mean because they're not losing as much. Their usual clips that come out after a loss are nowhere to be seen. Whereas whether we win or lose, it seems these channels still have that pull. And even if we hammered, let's say, even if we hammered City 4-1, 4-2 tomorrow or on Sunday, I can guarantee you certain channels will still have their clips running around social media, whether it be good or bad. And that's just my take on it then, really.
That's always going to happen because, I mean, without United, there's a lot of, they don't have anything to report on. I mean, United, whether they like it or not, are the biggest club in the world and the most reported on club in the world. And what these social media phenoms want is they want to get viewers in, and you're going to get more viewers when you start slagging off United. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. That's what they want. They want to get content for themselves. They want to get noticed. And if you're slagging off United, you will get noticed. I mean, it happens in the media all the time. United are the biggest news story, no matter what happens. We have a bad season, we make the news. We have a great season, we make the news. United buy a new toothbrush, we make the news. I mean, it's just the way the media, they focus on United because we are the story. And hated, adored, never ignored.
Always the case. Man.
I've always said United being terrible is way bigger than anyone else being good. Like, it's a way bigger, as I said, always a way bigger news story. United, like, losing a game is bigger than City winning the treble. Like, it creates more stories. There's more chat about it. It, like, affects the world, or not the world, but like society and so on. Like, you notice it, you feel a lot more when United aren't doing well, as opposed to someone else doing well themselves. And that does come across quite arrogant, but that's kind of what United are. But I fully agree with you. Like, it is, the club got so big that it just has, like, the last while it's been picked off by vultures. So hopefully things might change going forward.
We can only hope. I suppose at this point, I'd like to just make a quick message there about the sponsor of this podcast, Manchester Mind. Of course, we here at the Devil's Advocate like to talk about mental health, whether it be a man, woman, child, anyone who has mental health issues. We're all open to talk about it, myself included. I'm open to chat to if anyone is looking to chat. And if you text MM2023 donate to 70085, that would be a good donation to a causeable charity. And from that point, we will move to the preview of the derby itself. Now, open floor, lads. What do you expect from this?
Mystic Meg couldn't predict this. So they're going to, like, I mean, and don't write United off. And everyone's lauding City and how great they are and what great football they're playing. Never write United off in a derby. I mean, it could go either way. And I'm hoping for a good United performance and we take it to City. You just never know. I'm hoping for a win. It's one of those games that no one can call.
Pete, what about yourself?
I'd like to be as optimistic as Deck or as hopeful. I just have the feeling of like pain is coming our way. We've got battered at the Etihad the last two seasons, especially the last season, the 6-3 and the 2 hat-tricks, and then the season before we lost 4-1.
Yeah,
that 4-1 was an awful one. I just remember after they had, like, again, like we said, United being bad is more important. They had the half an hour debrief on Sky Sports. Neville, Keane, Carragher sat there for half an hour and they barely talked about City, which is a weird way of, like, the only positive you can take from those kind of results. But yeah, I don't know, like you said, City haven't been in that good form in the league of late, goals wise, and like they obviously got 6 against Luton in the cup, and that was very foreboding, like the KDB Haaland combination.
Oh,
And
like,
Foden's in great form as well. And
I just saw.
I see, like.
Oh no, I was just going to make the point. I just saw a tweet there last night. Was that say, "Oh, look at me! I'm KDB and Haaland. We've realized we actually need to continue winnings, so we can continue dominating the league." Oh, grow up! Like literally, they were nowhere to be seen until a week or two ago. And then literally, I saw the goals come in for Haaland each time I looked at my phone last night against Luton. And I was just there like, where were you in the last few weeks for my fantasy Premier League? The one time I actually needed you, and now you're coming up against United.
Yeah, I think United just need to put in a performance.
It's very foreboding.
As supporters, that's what we want.
But like, I suppose you kind of have to look at it this way, like. We have our I'm not trying to write United off in any sense.
Yeah, I think I agree. Like we've had too many.
Oh no, sorry. There's a little bit of lag, so I'm kind of overfeeding yourself. Sorry, you were going to make the point there, Pete. Sorry. Hello?
Yeah, sorry. I think like we've obviously the 6-3 last season and 7-0 at Anfield, but the template is. We drew our only draw in the league this season, which is amazing, was the 0-0 at Anfield. That kind of is the template of we didn't play like we've played in nearly every other game this season with the donor fact. We're going to try and protect the ball. We're going to head away everything. And Varane had a really good game. Varane had a brilliant game that day. And we could have won it. Like if we had had Hoyland up the last month, we probably would have won it. He had a good chance. And that's how we should probably play. We should go back like with the injuries and so on. Like we're not going to take on City man for man and try and beat them. We need to be smart and almost play like how we did when Ollie was the manager. Because Ollie got a good few wins against City, and we do have like Garnacho, Rashford. Like they will play a high line. There will be room in behind. So we kind of just need to be compact and try and get them on the break.
I suppose.
But my fear is that we try and go man for man and.
No, I suppose you make the point there that you were on about City playing the high line, and I was going to bring the question to you of what the best way to break down that City defense would be, because the problem you have there is you have such a rotational City defense that you can play 4 centre backs across the back line because they're that versatile and that laudable that you can play, let's say, Gvardiol left back, you can play Kanji right back. You have that adaptability in the team. You have that versatility in the team. Is there any weaknesses to that, or do you feel there's a better way of breaking down that City defense?
Well, I agree with Pete. We definitely can't go man for man. We have to set up our stall to be defensively sound, and it's a pity now Rasmus isn't there because he's a great man for holding up the ball and bringing the rest of the team into the game. And I think that would have been a game made for him against City. We're just going to have to see what happens. We're, as Pete says, we're not going to take him on man for man. We have to set our stall out from minute 1 to minute 90, and the whole team need to put in a performance for us to get a result there. I'm crossing my fingers. It is one of those we're at a lot with injuries to the team, so I mean we just have to suck it up and go for it.
Yeah, like I suppose I'm just looking at here Julio's comments and they're actually fucking hilarious. I won't lie to you, but you go back to setting up the stall there against Liverpool. Nobody wants to be admitting that you're setting up a stall against a big team. Call them what you want. Liverpool is a big team. City, non-existent. But no, do you think anyone idea is there? I suppose the question I was about to ask was: is there any sign of who's refereeing this game? Because going back to that Dallow incident, do you think there's a possibility of something happening in that game? Because if my memory serves me correct, we haven't had many instances of referees influencing a game against City. So someone might want to enlighten me on that because I just don't remember off the top of my head. if I want to take on that, but right. Like,
whoever referees this game is going to need to be able to stand up to both teams and be realizing that he's refereeing one of the biggest games in English football. It's not often that a big team goes to the empty shed, and this is the game that they live for every season. This is the game that they look for at the start of the season, because it's the only thing that makes them viable to the rest of us. I mean, they're forever going to be in our shadow, and they hate it, you know. So I mean, this is their biggest game of the season. Everyone is banking on them to win. So don't put it past United to throw a spanner in the works. I'm hoping this is what will happen, but what we definitely don't want is we don't want to be looking back at the game, looking at referees' inconsistencies, VAR with their blinkers on, and people talking about everything other than the performance. So let's hope we have a good game, get a good result, and onwards and upwards.
And I suppose the question then really is who plays in that front three, because between Highland being out and so many question marks being asked, you kind of have to ask who really is our front three for City. And I suppose we can come into the full lineup in time to come, but we'll start with that. Who is the front three? And Peter, I'll start with you on that one. Just as I asked that, he goes away. So, Dick, I'll come to you there.
Peter doesn't like the front three.
Nobody likes the idea of. I mean, we may as well just resurrect Martial and bring him into the front three. This really, it's coming to.
No, most definitely we should not. No, I mean, I presume, he's going to have Rashford there. I would think Garnacho and Anthony. I think that's what he's going to start with. Anthony hasn't had the best of seasons, but I mean, big player, big game. Is he going to come on and make a statement against City? I mean, you can't bet against it, but I presume that's the front three that he's actually going to start with. I'd be surprised if it wasn't.
Like I've been saying, like Dick, I know you're new to the channel, but you're probably going to have heard me say this some point before. Anthony at left wing, your opinion?
I don't know. Like, he's such a polarizing player. I mean, he tracks back, which is great.
Yeah.
I love his work rate, but he was bought as an attacking winger who doesn't seem to like to attack. He's very one-dimensional at the moment. Every defender seems to have copped on to what he's going to do. Do I think there's more to come from him? I think so, yeah. I think he needs time to bed in with us. Ten Hag seems totally sold on him, and for that, I'm going to give him a bit more time. Yes, he can be frustrating. Yes, he can drive us mad. But he has moments of brilliance then as well, so you just don't know. It's the hardest thing in the world is come to Manchester United, I think, for any. No matter.
I agree on that, but like the problem there with Anthony, if people know what he's going to do, and I've made this point on this channel before, Dick, if players know what he's going to do with cutting on the right foot, like the problem is he's not Arjen Robben. Arjen Robben was very similar in the sense that he cut in on his left foot because, like Anthony, he only had one foot, but the difference is massive. Arjen Robben could actually play around with it rather than just doing the one trick of cutting on the left foot. And this is why I've brought the point of, do you see a potential of him playing left wing? Because if you're only going to have him play on one foot, you can have him go direct in and just hit off that left foot, or you have him whip in the crosses, which, to be fair, we saw a glimmer of it against Newport County, and I don't care if the caveat is it's Newport County. You're still playing, even if they're a semi-professional football team, you're still playing against 11 players who one might stand out amongst the rest, but you're still playing 11 players. So for Anthony to play on that left wing and show a glimmer of hope is the reason I always bring the idea. And like, even against Forest, now I might have been looking at it a different way to other people, but I saw a bit of fluidity where the boys were kind of moving across the front three amongst themselves, as like Rashford moved over to the left once, and I saw even Anthony once move over to the left. So it's that kind of thing, like, and even I'll bring in a comment there from Reese. Left back or left wing back may be a stronger idea for Anthony, but the problem there, Reese, is Ten Hag is so stubborn in his tactics, and we've had this discussion before. If Ten Hag wasn't so stubborn on his tactics, a wing back role would actually suit him and Dalot better, as like you can literally play Anthony on the left wing back and Dalot on the right wing back, because Dalot defensively has his flaws, but going forward has the better opportunities. So that's why I think a wing back role would probably suit better for both. The problem is Ten Hag's tactics are too stubborn, and like this is coming from someone who will defend Ten Hag to the hill. I just feel that with the stubbornness or how stubborn he is with his tactics, it's something that's not going to work. And even, you started just to make the point there, Reese, you made there. If Ten Hag wasn't stubborn, we would be challenging properly. And I could definitely see that, because I've made the point before. He is stubborn with even in-game tactics of, you'd see, let's say when we go a goal down last year, he was able to adapt to it and move players around and change tactically. This year, he just hasn't done anything to it. So, Peter, if you want to take on that, because I even bring in the next question for you to answer. Reese with the question, the big question. What will Man United do this weekend? Win and hand the title to the Scousers, or lose and go for City with 4 in a row?
I'm always in the camp of anyone but Liverpool, just especially being Irish, all of us. Like, who knows? Yeah. I've won friendly sports City. Like, there's no comparison. And also, there is, when City win the league, you're the caveat of 115 charges and you're owned by a country. When Liverpool win the title, especially going against that, it's unbelievably impressive. And Liverpool also getting 20 Klopp's last season, you just don't really want to see that.
Yeah.
But sorry, just on the chat you're having there about Anthony, just like 2 points on it. I think like if you went to the back five, it would mean that you couldn't play Garnacho, Hoyle, and Rashford. You'd have to play a front two, which maybe could work in a way. But also, I would prefer to see Anthony on the left, because Garnacho's been so much better on the right. So I don't know why. I just think it's just a silly thing that managers do. Like, why do you change? One player goes out, like example last weekend, Hoyland went out, Forson came in. Everyone thought Forson would just play through the middle, just don't make as little disruption as possible. And instead, he switched it all around. He went in the right, Garnacho went in the left, and Rashford went up top. And it just makes a mess. Like, I think keep Garnacho on the right, let Anthony work on the left, and also if you've Anthony and probably Amrabat on the left, it's grand. That'll be your defensive side almost. And then let Dalot and Garnacho, who actually work quite well, they work quite well together. So keep that partnership growing. Otherwise, you're just kind of having, it's just too much change and chaos, and it just ends up players don't know. There's no interlinking between them. It's all kind of just, this is the first time I played in the same side as you, and you're 3-0 down the Etihad.
Yeah. Like, I suppose just to show Reese's comment that he's after bringing on here, it is shit that our game against City is this weekend. Like, I think if it was as early as last season's in January, where City don't wake up and realize, okay, we actually need to start winning now, it mightn't have as much of an influence as to whether it's a 1-horse race or a 2-horse race, or even if Arsenal decide to wake up and smell the coffee, a 3-horse title race. But, like, I would rather let it come down to the Liverpool and City teams playing each other. So that's why I'm kind of there. Like,
they're playing next week, so this is a huge couple of weeks in like at Anfield. City never went to Anfield.
I meant to ask my boss, because he's a Liverpool fan. Who are Liverpool playing this weekend, lads?
Forest away.
Oh shit! I was gonna say like. I'm not saying, okay, of course, our title hopes, jeez, where am I going with title hopes? Our Champions League hopes would probably take a massive hit if we only took a draw at City this weekend. But I mean, in terms of the title race, it would make it more interesting, say, if Liverpool either drew or lost at Forest, we got the draw at the Etihad, and then the two teams managed to
Arsenal
draw,
on
say,
top.
next weekend. Like,
Yeah, Arsenal are the lesser of the three evils in this one, but I can't see Arsenal.
yeah, Arsenal
being
make
the
you up
two
there
then
just
for
so
title,
bloody
like.
horrible. And I suppose, not to break off from talking United, but just on a quick note, the fact that Reece makes the point that they're just so bloody horrible, in his words, would a decent manager, I won't say a world-class manager, but at least a step up from Arteta, would that make them better title contenders? I'm not saying give them a world-class manager where they'll dominate, but it's something that might actually work.
Arsenal are like the new Spurs of London. You always know they're going to bottle it. Come on, they're brutal. Every time you think they're going to push on for a title race, they actually manage to let you down. And I don't care about Liverpool and City. I don't want to lose against either of those teams. The title is judged over the season. I want to beat those two teams every time we play them. If someone told me that if we beat City this weekend, it's going to give Liverpool a great chance to win the title, doesn't matter. Titles are won over the season. Every chance we can have to beat City, beat Liverpool, I want us to take it. So I never want to lose against them.
Although, Dick, sorry to cut across you make the point of Arsenal are the new Spurs. If Spurs are bottlers, then what are Arsenal?
That's what I said. Arsenal are the exact same. I mean, they seem to have taken on this.
They're higher level.
Yeah,
higher level bottler.
Higher level bottlers. Like, I mean,
they're not. At least they win some trophies, but they're this.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you.
Yeah, like, I mean, Arsenal, when you think they're going on this run and then they just throw it away. I mean, I don't get them as a team. Yeah, I definitely agree with that point. If Unai Emery was with that Arsenal team, yeah, massive point.
I don't know.
I think he could. Yeah.
No, and like it's a point because someone, either Julio or Reece, might want to correct me on this. I can't remember which of the two boys I was talking about with this on one of the shows before, but Emery under the current setup at Arsenal would thrive because he's a great manager. Just came in at the wrong time for Arsenal because he was under the worst of the times under Kroenke's, because he would understand Kroenke, who, as we kind of made the point earlier, didn't really have kind of, I won't say a Glazer-esque approach, but he was more, I'm not as focused on the football team. I focused on this. And like the Glazers are more focused on the Buccaneers over in America. Same with the Denver Nuggets and Kroenke. So
the Glazers are more focused on dividends and selling jerseys and not too worried about what United do, because regardless of how United do on the pitch commercially, we're one of the biggest in the world, and that's all that they've ever been interested in. And I think that's why it's massive that Sir Jim has come in. They seem to have an interest in making United better. And they seem to have an interest in making United successful on the pitch. And we as supporters, I mean, we can only applaud that. I mean, that's what we've wanted for years. Someone to come in and show a bit of interest in the team. So, yeah, while I was sceptical about it at first, what he's done initially with Ineos coming in, I have to applaud it so far.
And Dick, we've had this discussion before, off screen basically, but we kind of both said that this, I suppose when you look at the face value of it, we were all kind of Sheikh Jassim in at the start, because let's be honest, we all saw that Sir Jim Ratcliffe was willing to take a smaller cut and keep the Glazers in if it meant being involved with Manchester United. And we kind of said we don't want that, but now that it's actually have to come into fruition and we see what they're looking to do, it doesn't look half as bad. So
yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I was always Radcliffe from the start. I just think the idea of United being owned by a country would be absolutely awful, and especially a country that's so repressive and human rights abusing as Qatar. And it just, like, we can't slag off City if then we just become what City are. And
Yeah.
also, it's not as if Qatar were ever a surefire thing. It's not like they've done much PSG. PSG are kind of just like a supercharged version of United, just buying names, and they don't really do that. Like they've made one Champions League final, and it came in COVID. So I was like, there's a lot of reasons we shouldn't be involved in that stuff. And also, I think if Qatar took over, had taken over United, and who knows if that bid was even legitimate, that's kind of the end, because you can't buy Bayern Munich, you can't buy Barcelona, you can't buy Real Madrid, you can't actually buy the World Cup. They try, but you can't. But United's the golden goose. It's the biggest thing you can buy in football, and the influence, and it would stink, like, and the success wouldn't. It would just feel a bit wrong. Whereas there's no such thing as an ethical billionaire, obviously, but he is like it's like the Jack Walker boy in Blackburn of sorts, of like he's from the area.
Yeah.
It's just easier to deal with.
Right,
And
guys.
also, I think the expertise that he has in business and getting the proper people in, whereas Sheikh Jassim, the chat, was getting Rio Ferdinand in as director of football, and Evra would probably be just knocking around the club, and it would just be a bit of a clown show again. So, and I think that the other thing, the whole 25% and everything, it's a seller's market. Like the Glazers were the ones making the decision. Like you can't just say I want 100%, but they're not going to give you 100%. So Radcliffe was strategic and adaptable, and he'd end up getting the full thing. So I think we're lucky to be in that position, and that's also like the thing. Looking ahead to this weekend, City being owned by a country, like it's pretty fake and tainted and so on. At least we have a semblance of like the soul left of our club. So I think that's more important than any success.
And that's a valid point. And like even Reese makes the point here, and you made the valid point there about PSG just buying the names. But you have to think about it though. PSG are selling their biggest name in Kylian Mbappe. Well, sorry, I say selling. He's leaving on free agency to more than likely Real Madrid. But there's no Messi Mbappe style name left at PSG after that. So you kind of have to think where the PSG go from there, because they have the money to just rock around and go for it. Like, but unless they went away and just swooped in, said, right, name your number for Haaland, Bellingham, whoever, Vinicius Jr., they're going to look for that. I won't compare them to the Galacticos of Real Madrid before, but they're going to go for that big name, and you kind of have to question who's next. And I've heard a lot of people saying Rashford, so I know that's going to come into the comments at some point. But like Rashford at PSG, it was talked about previously, so it's just a matter of will it actually happen.
Yeah, I think PSG last summer they tried to like change they kind of did a bit. They changed their policy of like moving away from, obviously Neymar left and then Messi left, of like young French players, because Paris is like the biggest concentration of young, like that players who become professionals in the world, and it's about time they tapped into it and kind of give like your Paris, like one of the most famous cities in the world, like you need to have like an identity and a culture to it. So they're trying that now, but then you're like, well, they're still PSG. They bought Kolo Muani and Gonzalo Ramos for 150 million combined, and neither of them started against Ostad the last 16. So you're kind of with PSG, it's like you never know what they'll actually do. Like you won't be shocked if they like tried to buy. Like I wouldn't be surprised if they went for Rashford, or they throw big money at just anyone. They're just that kind of club, and I don't really want I don't want United to be like that.
But and like you make the point there, like I remember what game was I looking at? It might have been a preseason game, no, or it was still a relatively, I can't remember who they were playing though, but it was a decent side they were playing. And it wasn't preseason, it was the start of the League On. And I just saw their lineup, and I was there like, I can literally name two of these players. That would just tell you the stretch of the team that they had versus the team that put out against the champions in the Champions League. Like, it's ridiculous, really.
Yeah.
And to wrap up the PSG talk, Messi and Mbappe Neymar still fails under Ancelotti because League One is wank. Farmers League for a reason, lads.
It is. It's brutal, is Cat. I mean, you're going to test yourself as a player in the French league. I mean, come on.
So look, we'll wrap up there on one final thought. Starting lineups and score predictions, lads.
I'll kick things off. I'm feeling that deck will be more positive, so I'll end on that note. I like Onana, who been goes. He's actually played well. He played well against Forest, I thought, and he'll be important in this game because we'll need to like how we play from the back will be interesting. Back four: Dalot, Varane, Lindelof, Amrabat, midfield: Casemiro, Mainu, Fernandes, front three: Rashford, Anthony, Garnacho, and Scott McTominay to come off the bench to get a consolation goal in a 4-1 loss to United. That's I'm fully I've no confidence. I just feel like I've seen this before. So I'll say 4-1 and hope that I'm completely wrong.
Yeah, I my team is very similar. I would have had Dalot, Varane. I'm putting in Johnny Evans in there and Lindelof, so that's my back four, and the rest of the team's exactly the same. And I'm hoping Scotty, Too Hotty, will come on as well and score the winner for United in the 90th minute, sending the crowd wild and the one Man City fan home crying.
Like I'll be honest, lads. I think you're forgetting that Maguire was only ruled out for the Forest game, so I'm going to actually put him in with Varane there.
Oh, is Maguire back? Is he?
I think no. I didn't hear for definite if he's actually back or not, but I'm fairly certain that he said he was only ruled out for the Forest game. So leave that with what you will. I'll go
Maguire to rescue.
Yeah.
Never thought I'd see the day.
H lumping the balls up the front to Big H to score.
Never mind.
Your best chance.
Scrap what I said. Maguire is actually out. Thanks, Keane, for that one. But no, look, I suppose having said that, it probably will be Evans and Varane at the back. Not the worst pairing, but when you're coming up against City and the firepower that they can produce, it is an interesting one. I suppose on the flanks, then you're talking. Ideally, you're thinking right back would be Lindelof, Dalot left back because it's more favoured, but realistically, it's probably going to be Dalot right back and left back would be Amrabat. Midfields, Kobe, Casemiro, Bruno kind of writes itself. And then once and for all, I'm still sticking to this one. I don't care. Someone could call me out. I don't care if Rashford doesn't like playing number 9. He'll be placed at number 9. You're keeping Garnacho on that right wing and you're playing Anthony on that left wing because it just favours him. It just favours him.
I agree. I think that's the way. Yeah, I think we're all going to need alcohol for the derby. Yeah, most definitely.
I already have mine, so we'll make that.
Start drinking now, anyway.
Yeah, we'll
make a weekend out of it.
Yeah, stop on Monday.
Yeah, stop on Monday, but I actually have to drive to work. But no, I think on scoreline wise, like I don't think it's going to be as open as let's say the likes of Julio and Reese were saying here. Like the boys were saying, it'll be 1-1 draw, or even Julio's here saying it'll be draw 1-1 or losing 4-1. I do feel it'll be another repeat of a 2-1 scoreline as it was at Old Trafford in the return fixture last season. Who is the winner of that 2-1? I will not predict because I am not one to predict who will actually win.
And you haven't drank enough yet.
That. And glad to hear, Reese, because he got his accommodation booked for the Cup game. He's going to the Liverpool game in Paddy's Day. And that will, speaking of messy games, that will be a messy game. Paddy's Day between Liverpool and United. Wow. And just don't lose to Liverpool in 2 weeks, I beg. Yes, definitely.
I'm more upset I have to work on Paddy's Day.
Oh, my too, that's so.
Great.
Look, lads, it's just under the hour mark. We'll wrap it up there. Lads, for Julio, Reese, and everyone in the comments, thanks for joining in. It's been a fantastic evening chatting with chatting with all the Irish lads. What could possibly go wrong? So from me, Jack, and Peter, we'll say good night. Thanks very much, guys.
Cheers, Reds.
Cheers.